Many people suffer from anxiety, depressions nowadays. It's more common due to the lifestyle that we have, the pressure, the war, the pandemic. In one word, we are not able to handle ourselves because we have to understand that these kind of emotional states, they are consequences of a particular thinking. In fact, a particular thinking leads to particular emotions and as a consequence to particular actions, because we have to remember these three elements as a way to describe, in one sense, our human conditioning. There is the mind, there is the heart, and there is the action. Unfortunately, we believe that that's the only way we can operate. We can just operate using our mind, deal with our emotions in the way that they are, and trying to survive in this life and fight with it rather than embracing it. And of course, Nei Qi Gong and qigong can provide a great solution to this issue of emotional instability, such as depression, low energy, lack of motivation, discipline in one sense, and discouragement towards life circumstances. We don't have control over life circumstances for sure, but we can optimize ourselves to deal with it as best as we can. This is what really we can do. There's not much we can do about external circumstances other than trying to do our best. And to do our best, first we need to be at our best, which means our internal processes, our mind, emotion and actions, they have to be aligned, first of all. Otherwise there is an inner conflict, which creates loads of conflicts, in the sense that I think something, I feel something else, and I act in a way. But also it is important to become aware of those natural, in one sense, tendencies that lead our life. We don't know why certain people respond in a certain way in life circumstances, while other people, they take advantage, in the sense that some people, they are put down by difficulties, other people, they find some kind of strength and courage to face them. But for sure, what it is important is to optimize ourselves. And the Qigong practice, especially in Qigong, can be a very powerful tool to do that, especially nowadays, where life seems to be so unstable, and maybe due to the speed that we are evolving, so to speak, in life, with technology, with many stimulus that really take our attention away from ourselves, we feel most of the time lost. This is the actual situation of many people that live with no direction, with no purpose, and suffer themselves. When we talk about Nei Qi Gong, we talk about many aspects that can improve our emotional state. In particular, in this video, I'm referring to depression, anxiety, lack of motivation. And one of the elements that the practice already brings in a very simple way, like many other practice will do if done seriously, is some sort of discipline. Discipline means to be able to do something even when I don't want to do something. We have to remember that even practicing or attending a job is an unpleasant thing to do. However, the fact that we limit ourselves and we force, so to speak, ourselves to perform that particular task already brings some order in ourselves. And when I mean order, I'm referring to the movement of the mind, because as I said at the beginning of this video, the human being can be explained, so to speak, it's a big word, in these three elements: thinking, feeling and acting. The fact that we commit to something, we bring some discipline in our life, already regulates the first one. The fact that although we don't want to practice, we don't want to do something, we stick to it and we commit to it and we go through it, and ultimately we feel even better after we overcome that initial resistance. Working with Nei Qi Gong also brings some sort of emotional stability. for another simple fact. Less and less we will be led by our tendencies, by our mind movements, because we will discover practically with the practice what it means to be in the present moment, to do well in the present moment, and not follow the distractions of the mind, which means we live in the so-called here and now, where things are seen quite differently. When we start to worry about the future, about who we are, about whether we're doing right or wrong in life, it's like the possibility of opening one window into the present moment and to do well in it while we optimize ourselves also on other levels. In fact, when we talk about depression, for instance, or anxiety, or low energy, we can also identify some particular states referred to the body itself. When we are depressed, we have low energy. The body is low. There's no vitality in there. And with the qigong, Nei Qi Gong practice, we develop quite a lot of it. So already it influences the other two elements, the emotional state and even the mind. But let's think about anxiety. When we are fearful, usually we are quite contracted. We sit in, so to speak, wrong positions. We sit in a defensive way because the body is not open and relaxed. So working with practices such as Nei Qi Gong help us also to reestablish an openness and connection with the body that naturally influences the other two elements, the mind and the emotions. When we talk about low energy, it can be due to many different things. It could be a lack of vital energy in the body. It could be a dissipation of our resources into the emotional field and the mental field. At the end of the day, you have to see it like a car, the fuel you put in the car. You can use it as a limited resource for a specific purpose. And let's say the human being is split between these three elements. So if two of them become predominant, it's normal that we feel low in energy. And with that it comes lack of action, which is something referred also to the lower dantian. In fact, these three elements of the mind, the emotion, and the action can be pointed to the three main dantians that we talk in the Nei Qi Gong system. The higher dantian inside the brain, the middle dantian at the level of the heart in the center here inside, and the lower dantian below the navel inside the body. Each of these three dantians performs a specific task, let's say, that occupies a particular position in our life. The higher dantian connected to the mind, to the clarity. The middle dantian connected to the emotion. The lower dantian connected to the action. So we cannot divide the human being into pieces. Although we might suffer from, let's say, emotional imbalances, which could be connected more to the middle dantian, it means also that there is an imbalance amongst the three of them. And the goal of the Nei Qi Gong practice is to create a balanced, harmonious relationship between the three dantians and to empower them to a very high degree, which leads actually to function very good on a mental, emotional, and action level, so to speak. This process takes place in an unseen way, so to speak, because vital energy, I know that many people talk about qi and vital energy. It's something that we cannot see, unfortunately. Although in the Nei Qi Gong path we get to a very high level and degree of this mastery of this discipline that could actually be seen and perceived by others. But the vital energy is what regulates the three dantians and what regulates the entire human system. In fact, cultivating the vital energy, it means also improving ourselves on various levels, whether it is an emotional level, mental level, action level. And eventually the goal is to unify them, to create an harmonious relationship between them so that there is no discrepancy in time between the three of them. There is no such thing as I think to do something, then I feel something, and then I actually do it. It's like what is called the state of flow, when all these three elements, they act together, happen together in the human being naturally. So the practice of Nei Qi Gong, in our time, I will say any time in history, is really a powerful way to bring order in ourselves. And of course it requires some sort of push and discipline on our side at the beginning, because it's not easy. But once we start to do our practice, and little by little we work on ourselves, then that little effort brings great satisfaction. Amongst all of them, for sure, the possibility of living life with control and awareness over how we react to it. I'm not saying we can control life. To a certain extent we do. Also when we reach a high level of mastery of Qi, we manipulate one aspect of life. But what I'm referring to is the fact that the emotional balance, the physical balance, and the mental balance, they become a natural consequence of a daily routine that takes 40 minutes per day. And this is the real value, to discover our potential, to optimize ourselves, and to live out of time. And what I mean out of time is actually the possibility of not be ruled anymore, but our mind movements, our external circumstances, but discover within ourselves in a practical way, not in a theoretical spiritual way, a human depth that makes the perception of life very different. A space of stability, a space of clarity, a space where we can see things, a space where there is no doubt, a space that is like home for us. The practice of Nei Qi Gong helps us to recognize that space and to come back to it naturally, in a very progressive and open way. This is the real goal, in my opinion, of a human being, recognizing its true nature and going back to it, using some tools or some serious investigation that can help us recognize the human problem.